shocked to find out you actually don't need that much money to purchase your first home. In fact, we only spent $5,622 at closing for our house in New York City. And I will go over and explain that a little bit further in the video, along with our monthly expenses that we have as homeowners and as well as landlords. My name is Karl, and I recently purchased my first home with my very loving partner Justin, who's on a boys trip right now, so he won't be joining in the video. But we bought it a couple months ago in New York City, and I always wanted to buy a house. It was my lifelong dream because I grew up pretty poor in a first-generation immigrant household. And I finally was able to achieve that dream at the age of 24, and I'm very grateful for it. And I wanted to share any tips and my experiences as a first-time home buyer. Get into the reason for this video. How do you know that you're ready to purchase your first home? Because housing is the one biggest expense that most people have, and you want to make sure that you're financially ready for that commitment. Ready is a very personal choice, and I spent some time to really think about how did I know that I was ready. And I really think it depends on three major things. So your lender / your mortgage program, your month-to-month income minus your month-to-month debts, and also how much money you have saved up as a whole. I think was the major reason why we barely put any of our own money down for the house, and it's because we had a program with 0% down payment, no PMI, no closing costs, and no attorney fees. And the program is called NACA. If you don't know what NACA is, we put out 2 very informational but also entertaining videos on YouTube already that you can go see. If it's not right for you, and that's fine. You decide you want to do either an FHA loan or a conventional loan, or a SONIMA if you're in New York, or a veteran's loan if you're a veteran. And then you need to make sure that you read all of the program guidelines, because more than likely you're going to have to put down money for the closing costs, for private mortgage insurance, and for your attorney fees, depending on what state you're in. So for New York, you are required to have an attorney, and costs, if you're not choosing NACA, they're gonna run you anywhere from 2 to 6% of the total loan amount. And this is depending on the state that you're in, your lender, and your mortgage program. Is your monthly income and expenses. And most lenders will take a look at your annual income, but I specifically am saying monthly because that will be easier for you to budget and fully understand how much you can really afford. Because keep in mind, some lenders will give you a bigger amount for a loan than what you can actually afford. And it's a lot easier to tackle your monthly expenses if you take a look at it in a 30-day cycle rather than the whole entire year. A portion of the mortgage should be no more than 30% of your monthly income. So for example, if you make $4,000 a month after taxes, your portion of the mortgage should be no more than $1,200. This is what studies have shown people to be comfortable at and live comfortably. Your portion, so if you buy a multi-family house, you can use 70% of the future income towards your income and have it count. So now that you know how much is your monthly maximum that you can afford, go ahead and download Karl's Mortgage Calculator. Look up the average interest rates at the moment and input that in. And also put in what you plan to have as the down payment. So if it's NACA, you put 0. And that kind of gives you an idea of how much of the actual total price of house you can afford, and you can play around with the settings. Mortgage portion. Now there's also additional costs as a homeowner and a landlord that you need to pay that you normally don't have to worry about when you're renting. And our biggest expense outside of the mortgage is the gas, because we live in New York and it gets very cold in the wintertime, our gas bill on the coldest month was like about $750. And on a regular summer day, it's usually around 100. Averages to be about $350 a month for gas. Average about $250 for water for the entire house, and $180 for electricity for just our unit. As landlords, we tend to have to spend a little bit more money on repairs as things tend to break more often, and that will lead me to my next segue into the third topic. You're still gonna have to have some money saved up, and that's because you need money for escrow to put into the escrow account and show the seller that you are serious. For escrow, that's money that you get back at closing or that you can use towards your closing costs. We put in $10,000 into escrow. It sat in the account for about a month while we did the inspections and all the paperwork associated with the transaction. And then come closing date, we used part of that $10,000 to pay for the prepaid taxes and the home insurance. So specifically, that was homeowner insurance premium for 12 months, $1,428. Prepaid interest for 2 months, $2,607. Property taxes, 12 months, $925. And owner's title insurance, $730. Got back at closing. We only needed about $6,000 to actually put into the house, and anything additional was savings and also to put into escrow. Our month-to-month payments are partially paid for by our tenant, so that helps a lot. And I really wish I had someone in my life to break this down to me when I was younger, because I think looking back at the whole process, it's so much more achievable than what people make it out to seem. So I really hope that this helped you and made you feel a little bit better about the potential to purchase your dream home.